escape the question.
Selamat pagi, pelajarnya. Kami informasikan sore kami judul soal kontestasi.
Cek, cek.
Cek, cek. Oh, iya.
Tes tes. Oke.
Ini pakai lap. Aku tuh pakai laptop, aku mau jemur dulu.
Cek cek.
Ladies and gentlemen, the guest lecture is about to commence in a few moments. Thank you. Reflect English language teaching practice in Ireland, guest lecture and academic talk. The Honorable, the Vice Dean of Faculty of Languages, Arts and Culture, Bapak Dr. Ari Purnawan, MPD, and Dr. Henny Kuswati, MPD. The Honorable, the head of the English Language Education Department, Dr. Nunik Sugesti MHU, Secretary of International Office, Professor Anita, our distinguished guest lecturer, Dr. Angela Farrell from the University of Limerick, Ireland, all lecturers, students, and participants joining both on-site and online. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my great honor to welcome you all to this program, guest lecture and academic talk had by the English Language Education Department, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. Today's sessions will consist of two main parts. Guest lectures by Dr. Angela Farrell with the topic Reflective English Language Teaching Practice in Ireland, and academic talk on the landscape of language teacher education in Ireland. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Farrell along with our lecturers and students to share knowledge and engage in meaningful discussions that will enrich our perspective on English language education. Before we proceed to the main agenda, let's have a short prayer, shall we? Amen. Thank you. Singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is welcoming speech from the committee. Now, I'd like invite the head of the English Language Education Department, Ibu Dr. Noni Sugesti M. to deliver the speech. Ibu Noni, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honorable Dean and Vice Deans of Faculty of Languages, Arts, Cultures of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Dr. Angela Farrell, our guest lecturer, lecturers of English Language Education Department, our beloved students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be and God's blessings be upon you all. Good morning and welcome to this very special occasion. On behalf of the English Language Education Department, Faculty of Languages, Arts and Cultures, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, representing the department, I'm truly honored to host today's guest lecture and academic talk. First and foremost, I would like to extend my warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Dr. Angela Farrell, Assistant Dean International in the Faculty of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at the University of Limerick, Ireland. We are deeply grateful for your presence here with us today and for your willingness to share your expertise, knowledge, and inspiration with both our students and our lecturers. Today's program is indeed a meaningful moment for our department. For our students, the guest lecture provides not only insight into current developments in English language education, but also opportunities to broaden perspectives and engage with international ideas, practices, and discourses that shape our field today. For our lecturers, the academic talk is a valuable platform to exchange ideas, strengthen academic collaboration, and learn from global best practices. We all know English language education today faces new challenges and exciting opportunities. In the age of digital transformation and intercultural communication, we are called to innovate in pedagogy, to nurture critical and creative learners, and to build connections that transcend geographical boundaries. That is why events like today's are essential to remind us that education is a collaborative journey enriched when we share across cultures and institutions. At the university, especially in this faculty, we are committed to fostering global partnerships that empower our students and lecturers. The presence of Dr. Farrell from the University of Limerick is not only academic engagement, but also a testament to the friendship and collaboration between our institutions. We hope that today's talk will open doors for further cooperation in research, teaching, and cultural exchange. This event is attended by 81 lecturers, online and offline, and then also attended by almost 1,000 students from the undergraduate, master, and doctoral degrees. To our students, I encourage you to listen attentively, ask questions, and take this chance to connect new knowledge. To our lecturers, let's use this moment to reflect on our practices and explore innovative ways to enrich our teaching and research. In conclusion, let me emphasize that today's event is more than just a lecture. It is a step forward in being a global academic community. May this program inspire us all and may it strengthen our shared commitment to advance English language education in Indonesia and beyond. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu Nuni, for the warm welcome. Next, we have the honor of hearing from the Vice of the Faculty of Languages, Arts and Cultures, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Dr. Ari Purnawa, who will also officially open this event. Pak Ari, the floor is yours.
Mana ini? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I don't have much to say. Everything has been very well explained by Bu Nuni. First, so of course, on behalf of the Day of Languages, Arts and Culture, we would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Angela Farrell from the University of Limerick, Ireland. Yeah, we do appreciate this. And I hope that everyone attending this session will get new insight, new things about what is happening out there. Sure, I believe that Dr. Angela will give us a lot of things. Hello, it's me again. My name is Ari. I'm not Henny Kusmawati. I just grabbed from Bu Henny. So we hope that everyone can learn a lot from this. And to Dr. Angel, I think this is supposed to be not the last visit to our university. We are expecting your next visit. So, and we are honored to have this. So, thank you very much, everyone. Nice session, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ari. The next item is
Yeah.
the token
Yeah.
appreciation.
We have some technical problem, something like echoing voice. So we have to, I think, only for those attending the session offline here. Yeah. So no. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
If we mute, just to say, we have echo now.
Hmm?
We leave one microphone, maybe
Okay.
only the online, and then we speak loud so that
Yes.
is that
Yes.
All right, the next item is the token of appreciations. I'd like to invite the Vice Dean of Faculty and the head of the English Language Education Department to join us in the front to give the token of appreciations for our guest lecturer, Dr. Angela Farrell from the University of Limerick, Ireland. Would like to invite all distinguished lecturers, chair, and committee members for a group photo. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we'll continue to the guest lecture session. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for these sessions, Professor Ashadi, SPD, MHUM, EDD. Professor Ashadi is a senior professor at the Faculty of Languages, Art and Cultures, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. He has extensive expertise in English language education, curriculum development, and educational research. With years of academic and professional contributions, he has guided research and innovation in language education at both national and international level. Under his moderation, we will listen to our distinguished guest lecturer, Dr. Angela Farrell from the University of Limerick, Ireland, will deliver a presentation on reflective English language teaching practice in Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Prof. Ashadi to lead these sessions. Prof. Ashadi, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Because of the failure that we have, then it's a bit delay with the devices. All right. On my right is Dr. Angela Farrell from University of Limerick, and she will be delivering a small lecture on reflective English language teaching practice in Ireland. Well, so far we have probably read from the literature, a lot of literature by Thomas Farrell on reflective practice. And today, Dr. Angela Farrell will deliver small talk on this, and hopefully we can learn something from how Ireland has practiced this reflection, and how teachers and lecturers in Ireland experienced it. All right, without further ado, I would like to share a bit of Dr. Angela Farrell's background. Educated mostly in the area of modern language and applied linguistics from bachelor to PhD. And currently, Dr. Farrell holds a lot of positions, assistant dean international, and then course director, international structured PhD. Is probably Prof. Basikin can also share our doctoral program as well. Is also course director of EMI Professional Development Program. She also published a lot of work in the area of teachers' reflective practice, and also presented her works in several international conferences. Now, without further ado, attendance in this room and in the Zoom, please welcome Dr. Angela Farrell.
The lecturers in the room, if it's too fast, you can just do this as a signal to me. Is that okay? All right. So thank you very much. I'm going to begin with a short introduction to the University of Limerick and Ireland, because perhaps you're not so familiar with who we are. And I think it's always good to learn a bit about each other. So I might need some help here moving aside. Just need to move. Is that the first slide? So are you going to move the slide? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of geography, okay? So what is Ireland? Ireland is a very small country. And as you can see on the map, we are situated between the United States on the west coast and the United Kingdom on the east. So we are the island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So we have very, very strong connections with UK and with United States because of our geographic location. But we are members of the European Union. And our identity is very much now a European Union one. Joined the European Union 50 years ago, and it has helped to transform Ireland to become a very highly developed country. So we are about 1 hour by flight from London. We are 2 hours from Paris, and from New York, 7 hours. So there is a lot of interconnectivity between us. And in Ireland, we have a population of about 5 million. So very small compared to Indonesia. But many of our population are from other countries. So we have a very high level of professionals coming to work in Ireland in our multinational companies, in technology sector in particular. So we are quite a diverse country in terms of our culture and our ethnicity. So in Ireland, there are 7 universities and there are 5 technological universities, so 12 in total. And we are all in the top 500 in the world. So in the global rankings, we are in the top 500. Ireland is the only English-speaking country in the European Union. The UK is no longer in the European Union. So this has created a lot of advantages for us. We have students who come to study with us and many companies who are situated in Ireland. For example, Google, Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, all of the big multinational companies have their European headquarters in Ireland. Why? Because we are an English-speaking country in the EU. These are the big advantages for us. But we have strong historical relationship with UK and US, and that continues. So today, we have transformed from a very poor country. So 100 years ago, we were colonized like you. We have 800 years of colonization by the British. I know you have your own colonial experience by the Dutch. So we share in common that we are both post-colonial countries. So when we became independent was in 1922. And your independence, I think, came in 1945. So not so different. And like yourselves, you have to then create your identity again as a country, don't you? So for us, joining the European Union has really helped us to transform into this very developed country today. So today we have many foreign workers and many foreign students. And one of the reasons the foreign students come is because they can stay and work in Ireland. We need professionals in Ireland. We need multilingual people from different countries with skills. So our graduates can stay for 2 years after they finish their degree to work in Ireland. And this is a big incentive for them. So the city of Limerick is where we find the University of Limerick. So we are on the west coast of Ireland. This is the Atlantic coast. We are the 3rd city in Ireland. a population of 100,000. We are a student city, many students in our city. And we are a young city, 50% under the age of 35. So I think in Indonesia, you have a very young demographic profile as well. And this is very good for your future, is that you are looking to the future now, knowing that you will have, a highly skilled population of young people who will support your development. So again, we have a lot in common, I think. So about my university, so we are currently number 426 in the global rankings. For English language education, we are between 101 and 150 globally. So we have a very long history, 35 years of English language education, building the expertise. We have the largest Erasmus program in Ireland. So in my university, all the students, all do Erasmus. They all spend one semester doing Erasmus mobility. So 100% of our students. And we also have 100% doing internship. It's very important. They go to industry, they go to education, and they are paid. They are paid the market rate, not rate, the market rate, because all of our education programs now are practically oriented. And I know that this is your ambition as well. Your education programs, you are training your teachers in a very practically oriented way, which is so important, isn't it? So we have many partners in industry. So I just need to show this. Here are some of the companies the university works with for internships. Some of them, Microsoft, IBM, Toyota. They are based, their European headquarters in Ireland now. This creates opportunities for internships for our students. So like the Indonesian universities, we are committed to the United Nations Sustainability Goals. And we are also committed to the principles of the EU education strategy of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And these principles are integrated into our teacher education, which I think is similar in Indonesia, isn't it? So here is the university, some pictures of the campus, some stats. So we have 18,000 registered students. And we have many countries represented, 100 countries students come from. We have about 15 to 20% of our students are international. The biggest international group is from India. The second biggest international group from China. But we have students from all over the world. And they come to study with us, mostly for postgraduate and doctoral studies for the international students. So we have very large campus, and you have a lovely large campus, I see as well. So our campus is green, your campus is green. Again, we have a lot in common. Okay. So we have 4 faculties, and in every faculty we have schools. So the biggest faculty, science and engineering. So STEM, our biggest area is STEM. And I know that for Indonesia, this is a very important area for your development. We also have education and health science. So in education, we have the training of our national teachers. And this is similar to your university, you are training your national school teachers. We have the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. And here we have the English language education, because we deal with the language education in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. And we also have a business school, which is AAA rated. So this in the top 200 in the world. So most of our international students come to study STEM, but they also come to study law, journalism, English language teacher education is one of our biggest areas, especially for international lecturers. So here is the campus. Some pictures. Here is our library. We have a very nice library. We have been very lucky to receive a lot of funding from the European Union. So this is a benefit for us, infrastructure. This is the Irish World Academy of Music and Dance. So we are the Center for Music and Dance, and we teach gamelan. We teach Indonesian culture and music and dance, as well as Irish and Indian. And your ambassador, the Indonesian ambassador, comes to our university to see the gamelan performances. So all of the students learn about gamelan music. So it's very interesting. Here is our campus. We have a river in the middle, and we have a bridge, several bridges. So you can see Ireland is very green, but Georgia, I noticed, is very green as well, isn't it? So you have a lot of vegetation and rich farming areas as well. And our campus is open to the community. We have 12 restaurants, cinema, theatre. We want the community to use the campus because it's the university for the people. So we want them to have it's not only the students, but the community. The students live in our student villages. Here are the student villages. They share international apartments. So 6 nationalities live together, speaking in English all of the time, very important for the internationals. So on the campus, they can live very safely. They have all their facilities, and they have a nice social and cultural program as well. So I want now to just give you a little bit of information about some of our Indonesian English language academics who are studying for PhD. Is that okay? I think you would be interested to see what are they studying. They are becoming experts, world experts. So we have about 20 Indonesian academics who are from English language departments in Indonesian universities, and I am their PhD supervisor. So they are in their 4th year now, and they are funded through DICTY, the DICTY funded scholarship. So here is our first professor. She is Augustina Lesteri. She's from the Universitas in Kalimantan. She is studying classroom discourse, teacher talk, and she's using corpus linguistics. So our Indonesian PhD students are creating an Indonesian corpus of classroom discourse to research from. So they are creating something new for Indonesia. And it's very interesting to see how are the teachers speaking to the students? Which languages are they using? How are they supporting the students in the classroom? So their corpus, their research is going to be very important to share with all of the universities in Indonesia. So I'll give you another example. This is Gita. Gita is in the Universitas Bengkulu. She is looking at the integration of ICT, digitalization of the teachers. How do we train the English language teachers? How are they integrating technology? This is a very important priority for the Indonesian government, I believe. So her research will also be very important to share with the other universities. And she is researching in the secondary school context, secondary schools. This is Ninook. So Ninook Krismanti She is from Kalimantan as well. She is using the corpus to study translanguaging. So she's looking at which languages are the English language teachers using. Is it your national language, Bahasa? Is it your local language? How much English are they using? How are they using English? How effective is their language use? So again, very practical research. And this is what we want, to see the Indonesian PhD academics doing practical research that will help develop the English language teacher education in Indonesia. So I will show one more. This is another lecturer. She's researching in occupational health, ecology, and she's looking at women who work in the gig economy. You know, how are they supported by the government? What kind of stress or challenges do they have? So you can see that in our university, we have many Indonesian PhD researchers who are doing really innovative and pioneering work using the DICTI funding, help develop research that will be of benefit to your country in the future. So that gives you a little flavor of who are we at the University of Limerick and how are we working already with the PhD academics at the university. Thank you. So we'll go to the next presentation. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far, anything to do with my university or the PhD researchers from Indonesia? If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, or the people online, you can always use the hand symbol if you want to ask a question. Is that okay, everybody? Can you, am I speaking okay if you want to understand? It's okay? And for the people online, I hope it's okay for you as well.
Yeah, it's okay.
The requirement.
No question.
Okay, so do we have any questions? No, but I think you're all okay. Is that all right? All right. So we will now go to the main presentation. Reflective practice.
Reflective. This one, yeah. Reflective.
Yes, that's it. Oh, everybody. So today we have a mixed audience. We have yourselves, esteemed professors in the English language department, and we also have your students. So I am mindful that some of you already know a lot about this area, but for some people it's fairly new. So I will try to make sure we are balancing it for both groups. Is that okay? So today I want to talk about how we can use corpus linguistics as an additional approach to implement reflective practice. So reflective practice, we know, is very well established in education at every level for the last 100 years, especially the last 50 years. So we are all encouraged to be reflective practitioners. And you are teaching your students to be reflective practitioners. But for teachers, and especially language teachers, English language teachers, we're going to focus today, they can use corpus linguistics to gain further knowledge about what happens inside the classroom. So this is evidence-based, data-informed. So I'm going to start with some key terms, especially for the students who are joining us today, and maybe make the argument at the beginning of why should we use corpus linguistics and reflective practice together when we are training our English language teachers. So, as many of you know, from work of Dewey more than 100 years ago, we have been developing and we see the evolution of reflective practice. So reflective practice, as you are very well aware, is very much about the active, the persistent, and careful consideration of any belief or supposed form of knowledge in the light of the grounds that support it. So we encourage our students to actively reflect on what is happening in teaching, their experience, what they observe, what they experience themselves, their prior knowledge, their history, all of this. But there has been criticism of reflective practice, the traditional mode of reflective practice, that it's very theoretical. It's not practical enough. So in the last 30 years, as we have developed technology, there have been increasing calls for what we call evidence-based approach to reflective practice. What tools, what data can we use to support reflective practice? So for teachers, the evidence comes from the classroom. So we increasingly use corpus linguistics. So what does it mean, corpus linguistics? So this is where we use data that we collect in the classroom, from audio recording, from video recording, and we use it with specialized software to create a corpus, a body of text that we can analyze. And we can use it for many, many reasons, purposes. But with reflective practice, we use it to illustrate, to give our students examples of teaching in practice that they can reflect on. So a corpus, from the Latin, is a collection of language data. And today I will make arguments for the use of corpus linguistics and reflective practice together because of the complementarity this brings. What does it offers an innovative, evidence-based approach, and it gives us enhanced benefits. So it's something for us to consider. In my university, we have been doing this for about 30 years. In other maybe settings or contexts, it could be quite new. So this is the equation that reflective practice with corpus linguistics creates enhanced outcomes. Enhanced outcomes for our trainee teachers is how we're going to look at this today. So I want to just give you some context in which we use this approach. So we collect classroom data and we use it in all of our English language programs, but also to French teachers, Spanish teachers, Japanese teachers, all of the language teaching programs. So we have a master's program in applied linguistics. We have a master's program in TESOL, and I think you also have this program in your university. We also have what we call professional masters in education. This is a third area. We have undergraduate, like you, teacher training for English teachers, but you are training teachers of English as a foreign language. We are not doing this because we are English speaking in our schools. So our teachers who are learning to teach English are learning to teach English as an additional language or as a second language, because our schools now have many pupils who are refugees, asylum, or the parents are coming to work in Ireland from different countries. So they have to learn how to teach history, mathematics, they're through English in a more internationalized way a more inclusive way. So we also refer to this as EMI, English medium instruction. So for all of these contexts now, we use data, we use evidence-based approach where we collect data and we study what happens in the classroom in our specialized education programs. So the reflective practice model that we use is one that we created for ourselves. And this is becoming more normal, that you can choose. There are so many reflective practice models and approaches. Perhaps in your university, you have also designed your own reflective practice model that suits your context. Or maybe this is something you can do in the future. So my colleague and myself, we created a model that we use, and it has 5 stages. So all of our teachers, we encourage use this model. So our model is challenge-based learning, problem-based learning, where the teachers are encouraged to problematize. They look for challenges. What did they experience? What has been a challenge? And we teach them to reflect and to identify challenges using the data. They record their teaching. They record teaching. They watch back the recording. They also watch the recordings of more experienced teachers and make comparisons. And then they identify a problem, an issue, a challenge that they want to work on. So perhaps a problem could be they're speaking too quickly. Perhaps they are not using a good questioning strategy. Perhaps in your case, maybe they are not using English accurately enough. So they will look at the problem from their own perspective, and they will have a mentor who helps them identify the problem. That's the first. So as they are training for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, they will come up with different problems, but they look at one problem at a time. Stage 2 is called embracing. What does that mean? When you embrace, you accept, you show willingness to learn. So we cannot move on. We cannot solve a problem without first accepting this is a problem, okay? And embracing is a very positive word. So we don't want our students to say, oh, I have such a problem, I can't solve it, and to feel dispirited or very negative. We want them to see it as a challenge, as a positive challenge. So we embrace, we say, this is something I'm going to learn about and I'm going to improve in a very dynamic way. So this is what I mean by embracing. And they create an action plan, how to embrace this. And all the time they are guided by a mentor. And I'll explain that a little bit more later. The third stage is what we call noticing. In order to learn, you have to observe and you have to notice. You have to observe more expert teachers. We have to create opportunities for this, but they also have to observe themselves by looking at the recordings of what they do. So they spend time observing more expert teachers or looking at and analyzing the data from the classroom. And then they move towards the solutions. What solutions can help them to improve in this area? What is their action plan going to be? So they come up with strategies. So proactive strategies to solve the problem. Sometimes the problem is a shared problem. Sometimes many student teachers have the same problem. For us, one of the big problems is they speak too fast. They use colloquial, informal language because they are English native speakers, and they forget the students can't understand this, the pupils. So these are common problems. But sometimes the students have very specific problems. So we have to be careful to make sure if they are working with other students that they are working on common problems. So part of the solution finding is to do research. What is the research? Well, perhaps in their projects, perhaps in their assessment, we can integrate the research where they look at the data, they study findings from other people's research, and they become expert in identifying how other academics or teacher trainers have worked find strategies. So we include the research at this stage. They need time to work on the research. So this is a cycle of 5 stages. For every semester, we have one cycle, and they focus on what is their biggest challenge each semester. And it can be individual, or they can work in pairs, or they can work in teams, depending on the types of challenges that they identify. So this is what we mean by a reflective practice cycle. So it's linked to a module which is called teaching practice. So in our education programs, the student teachers teach in the school with the experienced teacher for 18 months in different stages. 2 weeks, first year, 6 weeks, second year, 3 months, third year. So they build up the practical skills, and they have a mentor in the university, and they have an experienced teacher in the school helping them. So the reflection and the classroom data is from the school. They record their own teaching practice to be able to analyze it. So this could be something that may be of interest in your teacher education. And I'm going to show you how do we start this? What do you need to do? Where do you get your data from? Because this is a process. Okay, so here are the people involved. In order to have this system, you have your key players, yeah? So your student teachers, of course, they are the priority. Everything is about upskilling your student teachers. So our student teachers have a mentor in the university, academic like you, a professor, a teacher trainer. Sometimes the teacher trainer has a small group of 10 student teachers. She is the mentor, or he is the mentor, that they work very closely together. But they also have their lecturers. They go to their theoretical lectures and their practical lectures. So we are all a team trying to do this together. So I know the mentor is advising. The mentor connects with the lecturer. We have to give them the same types of input. We can't confuse them. You know, we can't have conflicts. So our student teachers also have a TP supervisor, and maybe this is the same too. So they plan their lessons when they are very new, very early in the, coming to the university. They don't know how to plan a lesson. They need a lot of help, don't they? So they have to show the TP supervisor the lesson plan. They have to check it's okay before they go to the school. They cannot go into the school unless the plans are correct. So they work with the TP supervisor. And the TP supervisor can also be the expert teacher from the school, or sometimes we have co-supervision, university and school together, because it's important, the relationship, isn't it? So these are the key people in the team who are giving the education to the student teachers. Okay, so we use reflective data. Where do we get it from? And maybe you use some of these reflective modes. So our students work in different, we call it reflective modes. Contexts. So the first is in the classroom. So when we are giving lectures and when we are giving practical skills development, we record everything. We record the conversation between the lecturer and the students. Everything is recorded so we can use it for analysis. So for example, we have a corpus where we have files for each context. So if I want to know, what are the students discussing in the lecture? What are they asking? What is the feedback from the lecturers? I can go to the file and I can see the data. We also ask our students to use blogs. Do you use blogs? Some universities ask their teachers, student teachers, to use blogs. So we create a system where they have to blog as part of their assessment. They have to communicate in blogs with their peer group about their teaching or about the lecture. They have to reflect. We give them a question every week and they have to blog. So we set the question and they have to respond. And we can monitor, are they participating? Are they active? So they are blogging in English, of course. So you can do this in any language. If you wish, the reflection can in your national language. It doesn't have to be English, but over time, maybe you can ask them to do it in English as well. We also use chat, and I'm sure you probably use this with your students. So this is another data source, and it's a mode of reflection. And they reflect in different ways in the classroom, in the blog, and in the chat. The chat is very informal. So when the student teachers are reflecting in the chat, they do it for more personal reasons. It's very interesting. What do they say to each other in the chat? They talk about their feelings, their anxiety, their problems, you know, that they're not happy with their lesson or things like this, because it's considered a shared space. They can share their problems and issues together. But in the classroom discussion, they don't discuss this because they don't feel comfortable. In the classroom, they discuss the more pedagogically oriented content, you know. So each reflective mode has a purpose and helps them in some way. When the student teachers teach or practice their teaching, they do micro teaching. I think you probably do micro teaching, do you? Then they have to have feedback with their supervisor. So with the permission of the student, we record it. What do they discuss in the feedback interview, one-to-one? And this is very specific to the lesson, isn't it? They watch the lesson together and the lecturer, the TP supervisor can say, notice how you did this. And they reflect on perhaps the questioning, perhaps on the grammatical explanation. So this is very much to do with the content. So every semester, the students have to create a portfolio. And I think maybe your students do something similar. Our portfolio is a portfolio online. From week 1 until the end of semester, they have to put everything in one site. And they have to create a reflective portfolio so we can see their development. Are they developing? How are they developing? So we give them part of the assessment. They write a reflective account, like a summary every week, into their teaching practice portfolio. Now graded on this. So how do we encourage our students to contribute? Some students always contribute. They are the best students. They are the ones who do everything so well. but some students are not so willing to contribute. So how can we ensure they all contribute? Because we want them all to learn. We integrate the assessment. So they have to use chat, they have to blog, they have to do TP portfolio. It's part of their assessment. So maybe they get 10% for this and 5% for this. It's the only way to ensure everybody engages. And that's important, isn't it? So that's an example of where we get our data and how they reflect using the different data sets. Okay, so reflective practice is an integrated component of teaching practice. And I'm sure it is also for you in your university. So what do we ask our student teachers to reflect about? Well, they reflect on classroom observation. They watch more experienced teachers. Sometimes they go into the classroom and sit at the back and they watch and they make notes, or they are given a worksheet. But it's not always possible to send teachers into the classroom, is it? Because of the numbers. So that's why we have recordings they can watch online if it's not possible to go. So in your case, I think you have 500 student teachers, very big number. You can't send 500 students, can you, to the schools? It's impossible. But if the schools record their classroom for you, your student teachers can watch it live. And you can collect the data for your teacher education. Can you see how it can be very practical for you? So we ask our students to reflect on the expert teachers. Now, sometimes we have to be careful with this because expert does not always mean or does not always equate with experience. So sometimes the teachers who are in the schools for a very long time don't have the modern approaches. They need themselves. And we have to be diplomatic and careful. So how do we guide our students? We tell them, look, sometimes you will see good teaching and sometimes you will see less than good teaching. You are not there to criticize the teacher. You are there to observe and to reflect about what somebody did, what was the impact, and how can it be improved? Because we can always improve. And they use it for their own self-development, not to criticize the experienced teacher. You see how important that part is? Because nobody will allow you into the classroom if they think their teaching is going to be criticized negatively by student teachers. You know, it's sensitive. So we have to create the right ethos where they are looking specifically at the use of the blackboard, the whiteboard, the use of technology, the use of materials, classroom discourse, the interaction. They are looking at very specific things. So our student teachers reflect on the teaching of other people, but they also reflect on their own teaching and micro-teaching because they have to record it. When we ask them to reflect on something they did well, we always start something they did well. Because sometimes student teachers are very negative about themselves. Do you find that? The first instinct, I was terrible. I was so bad. Isn't it? And it's very insular, you know, it's very internal. They internalize all this negativity. So we have to force them almost. You have to say something good. You have to find something good about your teaching. Maybe you had very nice manner with the students. Maybe you used the board, right? Maybe you had good technological skills. We have to insist they find something positive first. And then we move towards what can be improved. And we do see it as negative. We see it as a development stage. That student teachers often experience similar problems, don't they? Similar challenges. And they have to understand this is because they are novices, not because they're bad teachers, because they are starting. And we all have to start somewhere. So we encourage them to observe themselves and compare to find similarities and differences with their peers. So a lot of peer discussion. We also ask them to reflect on critical incidents. This is very important in reflection. Critical incident, again, could be something positive, not only negative. Something that happened in the classroom that is a standout moment for either good or bad reasons. And typically, the critical reflection is about the student asked a question, the pupils asked a question, and the student teacher didn't know the answer. Is this, you find similar? This is the fear, the big fear. They're going to ask me something about grammar. They're going to ask me about rules of grammar. And I don't know the answer, and I can't prepare, I can't anticipate. So it's very interesting to see the critical incidents in the first year. And what are critical incidents in the fourth year? They are very different. So a lot of research has been done on critical incidents, hasn't it? The importance of reflecting on the critical incidents. But we can use the critical incidents in an evidence-based way. We can show the recording and they can pick a critical incident from another teacher's teaching or from their own. So we can do it in a way that is authentic using the data, the recordings. It's not speculation. It's not guessing. It's something that really happens. And when the student teachers see the real, authentic critical incident, they say, oh, okay, so this is normal. This happens to many teachers, not only me. So in a way, it reassures. It's a normal developmental stage. It's normal to have this problem, to experience this. So we can use this kind of critical reflection at different years, different points on their trajectory, on their journey. So our student teachers, we ask to do sometimes individual reflection, sometimes reflection with peers, small group or pair, sometimes in a group guided by the lecturer. But they also to reflect on the outcomes, because reflective practice has often been criticized that it doesn't emphasize the outcomes enough. So we ask the student, what was the outcome? And this is very important, to reflect on the outcomes. The outcome for themselves, or the outcomes for the pupils, the outcomes for their peer. So these are many different ways in which we can use reflection, but we can enhance this by using authentic examples from the classroom. Without the data, we cannot do this. So this is why we need corpus linguistics, creates the data to use. Does anybody have any questions so far? Yes.
I'm just curious about that. National qualification. The Bachelor of Education in Language as the level of
As for,
qualification preference. So it means that the bachelor, the graduates of Bachelor Education in Language has the right to be professional agents.
okay, so every country has its own national qualifications system and process. And universities can specialize different education programs. So you, in this university, I believe you train primary teachers and you train secondary teachers for national schools. So in our university, we would train about 500 secondary school teachers every year, starting the program. So we don't train for English language teachers. So our teachers, secondary school teachers, have to have 2 specializations, not 1. You can choose your subject. You can be a teacher of mathematics and history, a teacher of English language and science. You choose your subjects and you learn the pedagogy for each subject area. So when you, after 4 years, you are qualified to teach in the secondary school in 2 subjects. Not every teacher learns to be an English teacher, because the English language teachers, very specialized role now. They are teaching the international students in the secondary schools, or the asylum seekers, you know, the background.
Well, it's definitely different levels only in terms of the kind of teaching in the language.
Yeah.
Professor.
Yes, there is.
So
Yeah. So to teach in a primary school, you must have 4 years teacher education and 8 the Bachelor of Education in any subject. So in the primary, they learn all the subjects. Primary teachers in Ireland teach all subjects. So they are very highly qualified and well paid, because we now see primary as the foundation, the critical foundation. So they teach science, they teach mathematics, they teach English, they teach all the subjects. And they have to do teaching placement for 18 months. Not on, you know, in split different. It's huge operation, you can imagine, to place them all in schools. So for secondary school teachers, there is a different route. So they have to go to the specialized university, my university, for example. We train school teachers. They have 2 subject specializations, 4 years, but they have to do a master's after this for 2 years. So it's 6 years in total, 4 years plus 2. And the 2 is called professional masters in education. And in the professional masters, they spend most of the time in the school with the supervisor. A lot of teaching practice, but they must also research. They must do research in their teaching area. So if they're teaching maths, they have to do a maths research project for secondary application. If they're teaching English, same. So many of them do reflective practice research or corpus linguistic research. It must be also what is useful for that moment in the education you know, like for you, you have your government strategies and that. But we also have another type of teacher training. So we have a master's in TESOL, where we train teachers for university level. So anybody who wants to teach language in a university, they need 2 qualifications. The first is a master's in teaching, but they can do the master's and they can teach anywhere in the world. It helps them, if they have the English master's, to teach in any university, in Abu Dhabi, in Africa, anywhere, because they are English language specialists. So I think you have your English language lecturers specialism.
maybe I can tell you about so the graduates do not have the right to teach, but they graduate from a bachelor degree. But they should go to something like education 1 year. And then our masters in education, we don't go to school. So
So it's
what's interesting
yeah.
about that, because in both bachelor degree education and professional masters of education go to school.
They do teaching, yes, in the school. This for us is essential
Yeah.
because we want the practical application.
And how are you teaching practical now in the
In the,
afterwards?
yeah,
Go to uni?
yes. So in the master's program for TESOL, so for example, every year we have 50 students of TESOL, for example. Where do they do their teaching practice? In the university. So we have 20% international students in our university, including Erasmus students. They need English language upskilling. And we have a language center and we have upskilling modules. Our masters in TESOL students do their teaching practice from week one in the university. So when they finish masters, they have a master's plus 1 year experience teaching in the university. So at the beginning, they teach with the expert teacher, the tandem teaching. And then after the first semester, they are teaching solo. They are on their own. But we record everything. Everything is recorded because we trace the development. We have to check the thing is sufficiently high quality. But the masters in TESOL, when they have this experience, the experience gets them the jobs. People don't just want people with teaching qualification. They say, what is your experience? Isn't that the key thing, that they need to have some practical? So because we are an English language university, native speaker, our master's TESOL students go to work in universities around the world. So they go to Algeria, they go to South Africa, any country in the world where they need, people with this expertise, for example, for the EMI transition, to help support the transition to EMI. So they can work wherever they want. There's a lot of work for them. So we have these 3 levels, really, don't we? And what about in your university? Do you have a dedicated team that is upskilling the lecturers who are doing the EMI? Like, this is something new now, isn't it? That many universities need to develop, really. So you have science lecturers, geography lecturers. They don't have the English skills. So is your English department going to help them in the future, maybe?
Can I ask you about this just for a bit? So when someone want to go to master's special, they have to, or does he or she has have to
Foundations?
professional master in education, or
No,
they can also go to
they don't need us. No, they can come from the bachelor degree. Yes, yes.
They should they should have 2 masters.
No, they don't. So they need at least 1 master's, depending on which master's for which context.
So
But
that's
to-
the difference between
Yeah.
master in education,
Yeah.
teaching at school.
Yeah. Exactly. But to teach in the university, in the faculty, you must have PhD. You cannot work in my university without PhD. So they need a master's for the practical skills, but they also need PhD to become a lecturer.
So the PhD or specialize in teaching.
Yes.
PhD.
No, you can do a PhD in any topic, your choice. But if you want to work in an English department in a university, we don't want theoretical doctors. We want practically oriented research. The research must be the research we need. And the big new research area for us is EMI. So we have a new Indonesian academic who joined only last week. I was mentioning it to you before. She came and she said, can you supervise my PhD? And I said, what is your topic? We have to ask, what is your topic? She said, EMI. I said, yes. Because I know this is so important. So she is one of the new academics from Indonesia, funded who's going to help lead the EMI transition in Indonesia. It's beginning. I have had more than 100 PhDs from international academics in EMI now. from Algeria, from South America, it's happening in the English language departments all over the world. Who is going to help your lecturers of STEM or history or law? They need your help now because they need English language upskilling, but they need pedagogical upskilling. Because when we teach language, we teach, don't we, interactively, inclusively. They need all of that now. So it's an opportunity for you, I think, like for us in your English language departments, to have this new and elevated role, because they're often second-class citizens compared to STEM, aren't we? Let's be honest. In my university, top faculty, STEM. Everything is STEM. But STEM cannot function if the students don't understand the language, or if the lecturers can't teach in the language. So I think this is an opportunity now for the English language department in Indonesia, like everywhere, to create this new expertise. And it will bring you a more elevated status, I think. It's an interesting area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Papa Sis, there's anything else? Okay, all right, thank you. We still have 15 minutes.
Okay.
Is there anything you?
I might just show you our data collection
Yeah.
to show you what we've created,
Yeah.
to show you what you can create if you
Yeah.
wish. Is that okay? Yeah.
Session.
Okay, so we just go to the
Yeah.
data collection. It's keep going here. So this is the corpus. So this has taken many years, but you have to start. So if you have PhD researchers now who are saying, I don't know which topic to do, you can maybe encourage them to do something practical, like creating a corpus of the classroom interaction or something. So our corpus is 500,000 words, and the teacher education corpus. So all of our researchers could add their corpus, and we create one big corpus. We have all the files. So we have the corpus, the big corpus, which we all use for our research. And you can publish from this. If you want to do a research paper, you can use the data from this. Your university opens it for all the researchers. So it creates opportunities for you to publish. So we have the data from the teaching practice feedback, from the classroom discussions, from the reflective discussions of the students, from the online, also from the classroom. So you can see, where do we get this from? We get it from every level, undergraduate, master's level, PhD. We've built it over the years. We have data from experienced teachers. Doesn't always mean expert, as we said. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. We have data from the student teachers over time. So we have this huge corpus now. So for example, if I want to show students, how do we ask good questions? We use extracts. So I'll just flip to an extract. We go to our corpus, keep going, more. And we extract data in a context. Keep going, more. Okay, here. So here, we use extracts. We are teaching, let's say you're teaching your students, teachers, how to use additional structures. In English, we use a lot for politeness, for question, could you, would you, can you. So we show them how the teacher is using the structure in practice, and then they reflect on it. They can see the model. We just show another extract. So all of the input, just keep going. I'm going to just show you one more. So this one. This is an extract where a teacher is interacting with a student in the class. And we use it to show the student teachers, this is very good. This is a very good teacher. We say at the beginning, this is an expert teacher. Look at the way she speaks to the students. Look at the way she scaffolds, and they realize it. This is a model of good practice. So we can show them from the corpus where we have found evidence of good practice. So we analyze with the students in the classroom when we are teaching them how to teach, when we are teaching them how to ask a question, how to explain grammar, how to explain vocabulary. We use extracts instead of only speaking theoretically. Does that make sense? That you can illustrate in that way. Look, I'm mindful of the time, so I've left the workshop slides. I think Professor Anita was going to share them with you all. But there's never enough time, is there? Let's be honest. It's probably enough for a month here, never mind another. But if you have any questions, or if any of the students have any questions, I suppose it's been a bit of a taster on how we need to move towards the authentic evidence-based approach, isn't it, really?
Okay. To now everyone. When we still have around 11 minutes, yeah. So anyone, including those in Zoom, you encounter something in Zoom, yeah, would like to address questions to what the vouchers presented. Feel free to raise your hand.
So I think we have
Anyone here? One, Usari,
here and here.
and then Prof. Anita. Anybody else? Rafi. Okay, the microphone, please. Usari.
Thank you, Dr. Angela, for such a session for sharing the best practice. Right. Referring to the rigorous practice of practice practices done by student teachers there at the University of Liverpool, I was wondering how is the nature of the class there, especially the approach that you explained to us, like how many students there are, many times daily in the week,
Yes.
so on. And then the second one is the political incidents. We have read a lot in the, including your articles, this term, political incidents. Can we dig more into this political incidents? Would you mind explaining how we can come up with this political incidents? How to reflect on this?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Obviously,
First one, and then we still have another question from Anita.
should I answer that one first? Yeah.
Oh, you.
Is that- if it's okay?
Okay.
Otherwise, I might forget.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So obviously, it's very difficult to do if you have large numbers. That's what you're getting at, I think. So we have a system where we have a lecture which has a lot of large numbers. The lecture is where we have maybe 100 students or 200. Then we also have the second part of the course is in tutorials, small tutorials of typically 20. So it's in the tutorial that you can do this more micro level work, isn't it? I'm not sure how it works in your context, but you can use technology to help as well. Like we said, our students reflect online. They all do an online blog for their assessment. So you can integrate it into your assessment as well. You can't do everything overnight, but gradually over time, and then you can use a type of reflection according to what data you're using as well. And then the second question, the critical incidents. A lot has been published in this area. And I would refer you to the work of Thomas Farrell, who I know you know. He's not my relative, but his mother is called Angela Farrell as well. We always laugh, but I published with Thomas. We published together. Thomas Farrell has written a lot about in critical incidents, and he now uses classroom data to show. So you do need, if you have data, you can show what is the incident and what was the impact, you need the outcome, the impact. What was happening in the mind of the teacher at the time? We always need to know that. What was the intention of the teacher? The intention is not what happened. There is some miscommunication or something. But we also need to know, is the teacher aware of the critical incident? What role did the teacher play in the critical incident? In other words, did the teacher, because they didn't do something done often, what is the responsibility of the teacher? But also it could be that the critical incident is not about the teacher, it's about the students, only the pupils. So we have to analyze the critical incident, and we can do it from through many lenses. But the most important thing is, what is the impact, isn't it? Did positive impact? Did it contribute to the learning of the class, or did it stop the learning? Did it create an obstacle? But the other important thing is, what did we learn from the critical incident? Is it something we need to avoid in the future? Or is it something that we need to and say, we should all be doing this more? Because critical incident can also be positive, remember. So you can create a nice framework for your students where you ask them, go from awareness, what is happening in the class? Why do you think it happened? How did it happen? And then moving towards the more critical question, which is, what was the impact and what did you learn? So I think that's the kind of way to go, with the nice framework for your students. And that after they watch a lesson or after they teach it, they have to write their answers or they have to discuss it together. And it's better to do it, I think, especially at the beginning, with another student or in a group, or you can guide them if they're not good at reflecting. We all have to learn how to reflect. It doesn't have a meaning when you say reflect. They don't understand. So a framework will help them. Does that answer your question? Okay. You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Bu Anita. After Bu Anita, we have questions from Zoom.
Share with us your research. Well, actually, I would like to hear the questions from my colleague Susani. This is still about clinical incidents. It's very important for us, especially, to be able to explore students' but in our own context, in nations and universities. So in our own context, in most cases, students are surrounded by fear.
Yes, yes, of course. Of course, yeah.
And then in your practice, your experience, what we can do to unlock this fear of judgment so that they release their authentic
Yes. So they can move away from blaming themselves and over focusing on self. Such a good question. So when you show a student teacher the authentic teaching of others, this is where they don't analyze their own first, because they don't have the skills at the beginning. When you show them what happens in other classrooms, then they start to feel a little bit more reassured. I don't need to be a perfect teacher. But if you don't have the data, the class recording, you can't do that. But if you're not able to create a corpus, you can still use the research, the published research. Example, in my research or in Thomas Farrell's research, we show classroom data. So in our link, I sent a link with my slides today to a new publication. And this is published just last week. But all of the publications come in reflective practice and corpus linguistics, especially together, show authentic classroom scenarios with critical incidents. So you can show critical incidents that we identified. It doesn't have to be your own corpus if you don't have one. So you can use ours and say, look, this in a classroom. So the Indonesian PhD students now in UL, my university, just so you know, are creating corpus for Indonesia, for you to use. So when they are finished, they will share this and you will have to, and you will also read their research, and they are identifying critical incidents in translanguaging or in questioning or in teamwork or critical incidents in many areas. So if you can't do it yourself, you will have research and data from other researchers. And that's what helps the students feel less insecure, because they say, oh, it happens to other people too. But you need to allow them to talk about it to each other. So sometimes they won't say it to you because you are the lecturer. You are here and they are here. So in the chat, you can ask them to just, how did you feel about this? And they open up to each other. They say, I felt really terrible. And then the other person says, you did. And then they see, we can share the experience. It didn't just happen to me, it happened to other people. And when you are in your position, you can tell them your experiences. You can say, when I was a young teacher, this happened to me. So they need to hear about experiences of others to feel, but look, it's time. They need time, don't they? But sometimes it's cultural, like you said, some contexts, you're embarrassed. So for example, we find Chinese students get very, very anxious and embarrassed if they're not perfect. Japanese students as well. So maybe it's culture as well in Indonesia. But there are strategies you can use to help, for sure. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Farrell, anything else? Or we proceed with the the one on the
Sure.
We have question from the
on
chat.
AMI follow up
Oh, yeah, yeah.
from Yusuf Muzaffar.
Okay. After training non-English, how do we encourage students in primary to learn English itself? Oh. How do we encourage students? So I'm not sure. So Yusuf, do you mean the pupils in the school or the student teachers?
The student itself in
So
primary
EMI really is a term that relates to university level.
Oh, yeah.
So EMI is when the university is transitioning from a language. So in like Algeria, from French to English, or maybe in Indonesia, from your national language, you are now teaching STEM in it. This is the transition. And in some countries, the government, the people who make the government policy, they're not linguists, they're not teachers. They don't understand the challenges sometimes. You can't do this overnight. So you need a period of preparation, but sometimes you don't have that luxury. But I think, and for our university, we have experienced this as a huge opportunity for the English language experts like you to have this new area that you can work in. Because isn't it better that your lecturers of STEM are trained by you rather than having to go elsewhere?
Yeah.
But you need to train first.
Yeah.
And the pedagogy of L2 is similar to EMI, you know? Is that okay, Youssef?
Yeah. So you can see the about EMI here in Ireland. Or like a little bit the higher education.
Yeah, higher education. Yeah.
All right. What was the second? Was that from
Totally officer.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but-
Yeah.
It's a bit-
So interesting. So you're working in rural and remote areas. It doesn't really matter if you're in a city or a remote area. You don't always need high level technology. You need a lecturer who can guide you. And you don't even need high level resources. This is why the teacher educator is so important, isn't it? So critical thinking is something we learn over time, isn't it? We are now doing it in primary school and secondary school. We are starting to teach our young people how to question. Critical thinking means you don't just accept something as a fact. You actually look at it in more depth. You say, well, when did that happen and why? It's why questions a lot more. Why did that happen? And how is that for me? And how is that relevant for me? So we are encouraging students, pupils, even in the primary school now, to start to think critically. So it's a process from primary school to secondary school to third level, isn't it? So over time, we will all become better at critical thinking. but it needs to be embedded into everything we do. So we teach knowledge, we teach skills, and then we move to that higher level of criticality. Do you believe everything that you heard in your lecture? Do you agree with everything? What is your opinion? Maybe you have a different view. So you start then to teach students how to question and to find their own opinion, their own belief, their own, you know, what they believe, what they feel. But it's a process. It's not something you learn overnight, is it?
Thank you, Dr. Farrell. Well,
Good
it's
question.
5, Nick. Should we stop now? Can we have more questions? Go ahead. Oh, lots of questions from Papa Sig. It's not me, Papa Sig. Stop. Okay, one more question from Papa Sig. I am. So, so the direction of your microphone.
Yeah.
So what should we encourage by sport? Let's get yeah. Again, so what should we do if we have a limited students? Well, I think that this one school, not necessarily the village. If
I think move it away from you a bit.
yeah.
It's worse.
So probably is teacher, speak English.
Okay.
Speak English.
Yeah. That's a different problem. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, this is actually a related, but in a way a separate question, isn't it? Interestingly, I've learned a lot from my Indonesian PhD students about Indonesia. So I am not an experts in your own context. So I'm learning from you. But what have I learned from them? So they created multilingual corpora. They didn't think at the beginning they were going to do this. And this is what I was discussing with the young man to your left there. They said, we're going to record 20 Indonesian elementary school teachers teaching English. And they did that. And what did the first thing they looked at was what percentage of the lesson was in English? And they've discovered it's approximately 60% in English and 40% in either the Bahasa or the local language. Isn't that interesting? They didn't know this. They suspected something, but it may be in the city, there's more English, or in the rural area, there's less English. It depends. In primary school, there's obviously much more local language. So we need to see what's happening in the different areas now. So these PhD students in my university are doing this. They will tell you what is happening in Sulawesi. They will tell you what's happening in Jakarta. They will, because they are doing the different geographical areas. And they're going to share this corpus with you guys. So this is a very important development for the future. But the problem is you cannot teach 100% in English if your students have no English. I mean,
Yeah.
Of course you can't. And in the past, there was like a fixation, only English, only English, only English, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is not realistic. So we need to know what are the capabilities of the students. You need to know the level of the students coming to the pupils, and for the university, the same. So when your student teachers enter your programs, do you know their level of English? I mean, there's guessing and then knowing. The only way you can really know is to give them an English language test, like an international level one. Now, some universities don't do that. Okay, but if you don't do that, how do you really know? But in one group, you can have a student who's better than another as well. It's quite a complex area, isn't it? So it may be that you have to use more than English. And this is why translanguaging now is being looked at. So a translanguaging means not just using other languages, it means purposely knowing when to do it and when not to do it, and how to do it, and when to start phasing it out. When can you begin to stop doing that? So we do it now in a much more knowledgeable way, you know, the translanguaging now is where you're expertly going from Bahasa to English and maybe for your questions at the beginning, you need to do that. And then maybe for your explanation of grammar by the fourth year, you do it only in English. So it's more finely nuanced, isn't it, around which language? But what do you guys think? I mean, what do you see? What are you seeing that your student teachers? What is their level of English? Are you delivering the lectures to them only in English or in simplified English? Or are you trying to translanguage to help them? You probably have strategies you're using instinctively. But with the data, we can see it done. You know, we can learn how to do it more expertly, I think. Does that start to address your question?
Yeah, thank you, President. Well, so the keywords today would be the evidence-based reflection and enriched through various multimodal data. We can have description of the practice,
Yeah,
reflection, and in order to get them, we have to collaborate with mentors and teachers at schools. We have students, mentors, and teachers at schools. We have experience, and we can learn a lot from today's session. Everyone in Zoom and this group, I think, through critical incidents, and then what we can do to improve our micro teaching and literacy in schools. And it's also comparative of what the Japanese tradition lesson study, for example, that has been conducted so far and has been studied widely. So once again, applause to our guests today. Thank you, everyone. Asa.
Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Angela Farrell, for the comprehensive presentations, and thank you for
thank
all right, everyone. We'll take a short break with the midterm session.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And an area we can discuss is how our Indonesian PhD students can share their research with your lecturers in the future. They can give webinars,
Yeah.
and even our own lecturers. Like we can.
For students, you may leave the room except for
virtual
the
students. Students can discuss with our students,
Yeah.
critical incidents. So many ways we can collaborate.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
Right. So it's interesting. For my professorship speech, for my professional inauguration, I was actually addressing what's called as principle of translanguaging.
Okay, very
So
interesting.
it's exactly as what you said, right? The teachers has to know, okay, translanguaging is unavoidable, but it has to be principled. So,
Absolutely.
to the extent.
They have to know what they're
that's-
doing.
Yeah, same with.
Yeah.
And then where they should be linked
Yeah,
to them for
yeah,
students.
yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is. It's your area. And look, this is something we can think about even in the future. That we can have maybe co-supervision of PhDs in this area.
Yeah.
Be interesting between your English department and my English department. And I can organize this because